what I'd like to do is just jump right into why this book. And I like to start with the Yogi Berra quote of, it's like deja vu all over again. There's an actual story, experience of Matt and I's that we realized as we've seen a lot of different organizations wasn't unique to us. And what the story really involves is in comes a new process that's supposed to bring all this greatness with it. And it brings in not only new problems, but problems that have been long solved long ago. And it's kind of becomes demotivating for all the folks in an organization. In our case, it was manufacturing, and that this new line that came in had problems that the continuous improvement people had solved on the existing equipment. And it just, here it comes back again to be solved once again. And it really kind of becomes this never-ending cycle that's demotivating on spending time, money, and resources trying to fix these things. And so what we really started thinking about is, boy, how do you break this, what we would call a rework cycle? Interestingly enough, Jim Womack, way back in 2008, had written an article that touched on the topic of Tozen versus Kaizen, which is essentially this rework. It's a Kaizen that shouldn't have been done in the first place. And although there's a lot of very motivated, smart, creative folks in the world, ourselves included, that we're doing lots of Kaizen activity, a good portion of that could be categorized as Kaizen that we should have never had to do in the first place. We were just really fixing stuff that could have been avoided at the first time.
So the key thing to think about as we go through this, developing a new process with a new product is, what is the right learning at the right time? And how do you balance the limited resources that you're going to have when you're developing a new product, right? You could be scrambling to launch an older or a product that just recently launched, and you want to think ahead to a year or 2 years ahead for the next one. How do you balance this out to do the right resources at the right time? So with this, that's the challenge that we discovered with the 6-con model. So how this model, the 6-con, relates to time, this is a pretty good image to show this. So if you think left to right here, from at the top, I'll just start with, think of the idea stage through delivery at the bottom, at the right. How this works is we've got the context is upfront, all the inputs that we need. I'll go through again each of these of the 6 cons, but from left to right over time, we've got the idea and the delivery. But in the bottom, if you look at, we've got learning and executing. So the key thing with this is to think of early on in any new project, we've got a lot of learning, knowledge gaps we need to close. So we have the 6-con model. How it relates to that is in this context, concepts, and converge phase. And as you get to a point where you need to start executing and configuring, that's where the configure stage happens. And then we need to confirm it. And then obviously there's the Kaizen, to continuously improve. So again, the hypothesis that Eric and I were testing based on, Jim Womack's 2008 article was, he introduced this concept of Tozen, right? Touzen. And his premise was a lot of Kaizen that's out there is really just rework of systems that aren't designed right. So the challenge is, what is the process that we need to go through to actually avoid that? And this is what the model is supposed to represent. And the output, again, whether we're looking at a business process, financial services, a healthcare, manufacturing, we want short lead time, built-in quality, flexible, low cost, capacity, resources, and we want simple and manageable system at the end of the day. So this is how it works in relation to the time.